I feel like every year had some like major disruptive event. And through all of that, our business just continued to grow. It's fun when the market tells you that you've built something that they need. I can't wait to see how big we can get it.
Awesome. Well, I'm here with my friend, Domenic Colasante, who is the founder and president of 2X. And Dom, thank you after a couple of years working together, being able to sit down with me here and reminisce about some of the greatest hits, things that we learned and things that you've learned on your journey of partnerships and what others can take away who might want to be following in your footsteps to build some world-class partnerships with tech companies, and also to those tech company executives who are trying to find and cultivate world-class partnerships with services organizations out in the channel. So thanks again, man.
Nick, happy to be here. I've enjoyed so many of these sessions, webinars, podcasts, discussions. Happy to do another one with you.
We just talk biz, and think about the big picture. So let me catch everybody up to speed. Domenic Colasante and I have known each other for over 2.5 years. I first encountered him and his firm through my role in Drift Partner Enablement. I saw this firm 2X is in 2022. I'm like, this team is all over my certification content. They're engaging full bore. I have to know them. And then when I was out in the market, I interviewed with you, Dom. You were one of the few companies I spoke to that said, why don't you come down, meet us? We want to meet you and talk about it. And I remember that drive back, which I willingly took, declined the flight, drive back from Philly to Boston. I wanted a long drive on the way back. And I just kept thinking, Malaysia, huh? Marketing as a service, huh? So I really caught that vision. And I wondered if you would indulge the audience here, because I know it's evolved how you like to sort of position what 2X does. If you could just share, in a nutshell or so, what the vision of 2X and what you folks are to the world today.
The theory behind the firm, and I built it when I was a CMO, was to innovate on the operating model, the org chart, how work gets done, how humans are brought to deliver value into the organization. And I found that marketers, myself included when I was a CMO, tend to insource almost everything, build our own big teams, lots of headcount. We may use agencies for projects at a point in time or specialized capabilities, but for the most part, it's a lot of people. And as marketing evolves and the tech stack sprawls and you need more skills and capabilities you don't have, and you need flexibility of scaling things up and down, and you need just more volume of arms and legs and brains. It's really hard to deliver that via an internal team. So I built 2X to be a marketing as a service firm. Think of it like a managed services company for B2B marketing. And so where we can become a load-bearing beam and operate a significant portion of a client's marketing department via offshore talent. That's very high quality, English proficient, certified in the B2B modern tech stack, but resources that allow you from a labor arbitrage perspective to get, 50 to 70% cost save on an hour of work, but then also deliver better, more capabilities, more expertise. And the combination of that is really the killer app for do more with less. And so being able to shift a whole bunch of execution work, run work out of the enterprise into an offshore model, a managed service partner who knows how to do that work, who does it for you really well and gives you all the flexibility to move it and adjust it and evolve it as you need to, get a whole bunch of money back, and then use that money back for more program spend, filling out the tech stack, driving programs you've always wanted to do, or, expanding into areas of, I want an ABM capability, or I want an AI, COE, or I want something I don't have. And so we built a business to do that. It was 6 years ago I started it. We've grown 88% CAGR over that time period, so almost doubled every year. We're now 1,000 people. It's been a wild ride. One of the fastest growing companies in the US, in the world, in Philly. And I've really built this kind of unique service model that helps CMOs really get a leg up in a world where every year they're getting more expectations put on them and more impact targets, not getting more money. And so, or if they are, basically not even keeping up with inflation. We're a way to create a lot of leverage and get a lot done.
Dominic's not joking, folks. Like, I remember, because I got a chance to meet a lot of these CMOs that Dominic just talked about when we were interviewing them for podcasts or success stories or customer town halls. And I remember just asking them, like, like why 2x? And I remember this one like VP of demand gen was like, I don't know what other black magic that we could have done when you have the pressure to reduce the program and the headcount spend while at the same time increasing impact, given the shortcomings of the other alternatives you just described. So it's obviously gone well. But Dom, what's impressed me about knowing you is just like the laser focus, the ambition, and the intensity that you bring to the company and how you build it, and I'm an intense guy. I was like, yes, this is what I need. This is what I want. But I'm just wondering for you, just to, since we have a chance to reflect here, like where'd that come from, man? Like, what is it that just drives you to build this thing as big as you have a vision that it can be? What's that about?
Part of it, I guess, it's all I know. It's all I've done my whole career. I'm a 36-year-old CEO. I was a CMO before I was 30. I sort of have that driven instinct. Part of it also is, I guess, maybe like we can and we need to. Like, I was a CMO and I had this problem of how am I going to get more done? How's my company going to succeed as, I was the marketer for it? How am I going to competitively differentiate this thing? How am I going to acquire customers at a rate that I need to? It was the only thing that enabled me to do that when I was a CMO. And I think our CMO profession today is put under so much pressure and sometimes impossible requirements. And like, it drives me knowing that like we have the option, like we have the best solution for a marketing function who needs to deliver more impact at less money in the market. Like and getting that word out is fun. And it's great to see. You hear people who tell you like you changed the trajectory of their career. You've made them successful in a place where the CFO puts them on a pedestal in a meeting and says, you guys should all do more of what the CMO is doing with how you're spending your budget. Like, it's stuff doesn't happen.
That's what I was about to say. So rare.
I get so much energy from that. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's nice to win. I mean, it's nice to where in the last 4 years, I feel like every year had some like major disruptive event, from COVID to the Great Resignation to the inflation and software recession. And through all of that, our business just sort of hummed along and continued to grow, hyper growth throughout. It's fun when the market tells you that you've built something that they need. I can't wait to see how big we can get it.
And I experienced that firsthand, Dom, being your front person for any software company or even service agency or consultancy that wanted to partner with us. And they were knocking on our door all the time. As soon as I got there in late 2022, very early 2023, people were like, we hear you're a leading ecosystem partner. We want to be doing business with you. And I was like, whoa, this is unusual. Normally we're knocking on all the doors trying to get them to pay attention to us. But speaking of that, Dom, I was wondering, because I do believe 2X is a leading partner with many tech companies, and it has all that growth trajectory you're talking about. Can you take us back to a couple of years ago when it was just you mostly leading up strategically the sales leadership and the partnership strategy? How did you even decide to get into partnerships? Or did you just fall into it? Like, when as a leader did you decide, all right, I need to look at this partner program from the software company or partner with anybody? How did that come about?
Yeah, it was not something I woke up and said, I need to go find partners.
Right.
Part of it was, in the beginning of a business, I think there's different archetypes of founders. Some are more, visionary. Some are really sales minded. I think part of my strength as a founder is sort of product orientation, really understanding product market fit and what is our product that we do, and then building something that the market really needs, and then promoting it and evangelizing it. And having been a CMO and a business that sells to CMOs, I think I'm sort of uniquely qualified in a lot of ways to know what a good product is. Started with actually intent data. I started to see some of these like intent data tools out there and just thought, like, as a marketer, like, this is the holy grail. This is what we've always wanted. We've always wanted to know who's in market. So who's going to buy our stuff so we can market to them and not everybody else. Right. And it would be easier if we knew that, right? The classic, someone has that whole business based on that concept. And the first time I got a demo of 6sense, which was our primary partner and still is to this day, I was like, this technology is going to change marketing. And they were, I don't know, a 50, 100 person firm at the time. I was like, this is the coolest piece of tech I ever saw. This is going to change how B2B demand is created and captured and accelerated. And this company can really help marketers deliver impact. But I also see that like their technology needs to be used, and like someone's going to have to put it in, and someone's going to have to use it every day, and someone's going to have to, evolve it and like operate it. And I just thought that this kind of thing could change our client's success, and we could build a whole business around this. And so we partnered with 6sense back in 2019. And a part of it, I think, as a founder, like I was immovable from how right I was on that idea. Like,
Yes, you were.
we're
That
talking
was
internally, and I'm like, this is what we're doing. This is a company we're going to partner with. This is a practice we're going to build. This is time we're going to invest. Like, this is like how I want to talk about how ABM has value, like what they're saying about how to create demand and operate a marketing function. And we're going to go build a service practice around this. And it was a lot of uphill, actually, just because it was an unknown, or, hey, isn't that really risky? We're kind of early in the market. We're going to make a bet on one. 6sense, in my view, wasn't really even, they may have been, I don't think they were first to market. I think of more the Engagio demand base was sort of there, and Terminus was kind of there. And there were a lot of other firms that actually had a little more, tenure in the space.
Data enrichment firms and stuff, a whole slew of stuff.
Yeah, so like these guys are going to do it. And so it's just like sheer will and awareness that I think this was right. Turned out I was right. They are the category leader. They are the zest in the space. And we've become their largest partner to this day. And I think we do a huge amount of work in servicing their clients. Our firms work together at a level I've never seen in my career. Two partners work together. It's really symbiotic. It's great. Like, there's so many tentacles of relationships all throughout. And it's what partnerships should really be. But it was born out of like, this thing can help my customer be successful. And it wasn't like, this will generate more money for 2X, or this will help our brand in the market. It was like, this will help our purity of like, we exist to help the CMO be successful. And this thing exists for the same reason. Putting these together, like we have the same philosophy. We need to be working on this at the same time.
I'm glad you underscored that, Dom, because that was the biggest piece that I hope people heard of what you just said was that. So often in partnerships, you can just feel the transactional sort of focus of everybody around the table. But when I remember being on the other side of the table at HubSpot, trying to look for good partners for us to invest in, and like someone like you who caught that vision and unbidden was able to articulate it out to the market. I remember watching a presentation you had given to a bunch of portfolio companies of a PE firm that 2X is very close to. And you had the whole intent vision, and you weren't fed those slides from 6sense. Like, you just had it, and you were like, oh yeah, and by the way, there's a couple of key players, and we like 6sense, and I was like, I'm buying it. I mean, there it is. I'm like, I just need to capture that and take that around to people, So great. That brought us to 2019, 2022. You kind of powered your sheer force of will to get to that point. Take us to the moment in your head where you're finally like, I can't just do this on my own. I can't just be the champion here to carry this thing through. When and how did you decide to look for a partner leader like me? And again, what was that conversation like to yourself, I guess, or internally? Take us to that moment.
Yeah, I mean, part of it became when the next level of the partnership required more than a couple of big wins and a lot of ideas. That's where we were. Like, we had done some amazing work with 6sense together, where like we had worked on some deals in the market. We were servicing some great places. We were helping them. They were helping us. So there was there was enough lighthouse examples to show there was something here. And there was also like a page of like 20 ideas of things we could do. One of my successes as a founder has been to think about, like, every quarter, what is the thing I'm doing that is taking the most amount of my time? That's the next person I'm going to hire. And in the beginning, when we were a 5-person firm, like you think over it is constantly shedding that, what's the most use of my time? And a lot of founders think the other way. They think, well, what are the things I'm doing that are not really valuable and not a good use of my time? And let me get rid of those. Like, no, those things you shouldn't do. It's not that you give them to someone else, is don't do them. Think of the thing that's where you're we're making the most impact and you're delivering the most, and then go put someone better than you on that. And that's what the plan was on partnerships. I found myself really excited and engaged with 6sense and working on a lot of the work together and coming up with, hey, I think we could build a product for this. I think we could like get better involved in doing like joint go to market. I think we do some like marketing together. There's some events. I think we can like support some content. I think we could do some research together. I think like maybe our delivery teams and their CSMs can work together. Maybe we can help 6sense with renewals. Maybe we have some things that like they always wanted on reporting and analytics that we can kind of talk to them about. Like, our executives don't really know each other. Our boards have never met. Like, I had all these things that we should do. They required like someone to wake up every day thinking about them, because I haven't run the business. And for me, it was a strategic investment in getting those things done and bringing it from like the abstract of a bunch of ideas and some successes to like a proper engine that delivered tangible value that was, 2xing every year for both companies.
Yeah,
Requires some
chartable.
capacity.
Yeah, yeah. And is that kind of what the mentality that went into the job description formation? Because it was a interesting but very comprehensive job description. So like some process pieces help us spin up some of the programmatic and process driven pieces, what you described, including reporting infrastructure. But then there was also an enablement piece and a product sort of design piece, and then also sort of a marketing piece or a customer success piece. Even after the fact, how can we create a feedback loop between the work we're doing with these joint customers and back? It just, how'd you come to the job description ultimately of all those different ideas? How'd you settle on, okay, this is one person and we'll kind of cut it there for now?
Yeah, I think it could be different in different partnership models. Might be different in software versus services, but in services, I think of a partnership's role as CEO like. Not only interested in building the relationships and like doing, the connecting of people to make things happen, but you're building offerings and pricing and products, and you're thinking about strategic plays, and you're evangelizing and driving change inside the business. You're an influencer and an evangelist in the market. You've got to be able to talk to customers, talk to salespeople, talk to delivery people, talk to engineering type resources. It requires like a lot of different skills if it's going to be a strategic partnership that's going to change the trajectory of both companies.
Yeah.
And so I thought of like, well, it's like kind of partner marketing, it's kind of product, it's kind of delivery, it's kind of sales, it's kind of classic partnerships, is all of those things. And bringing in someone that had those capabilities was really what I was looking for. It was a really hard role to find. It was not easy to recruit for that.
I'm glad you gave me a shot and recognized that maybe I'd have sort of that interest and then that span of experience. And I will say that is what you just described is one reason why I really enjoy and stick with partnerships, because it touches every aspect of the business. I like the entrepreneurial nature of it, be your own CEO. And that just got me so fired up, Dom, to be in those moments where we're making slides together, like something for the board, or we're going to go in front of like hundreds of 6 Sense sales reps or something. I'm like, we're not just creating a great slide deck for this presentation, but this is like new messaging that we're forging. Like we're testing out new positioning in the context of this partnership. But I liked being that strategic part of the business. And then you could pull in and pull stuff in from the partnership corner into other aspects of the business. It was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's company building, it's category creating. It's not just partner marketing.
Well, we had to kind of stand in for some of that stuff, right? Because marketing was still taking shape. So maybe, Dom, I thought we could go through just some of the greatest hits moments that I know you and I have talked about a lot. Oh, and one thing I would also double down, you said earlier, is I remember you and your CRO, Ryan Heinig, and I, it must have been at least 10 times the last 18 months, we said, it's unbelievable how in depth this partnership is, how much momentum and how much love there is going back and forth between the orgs.
Yeah.
So
it's what it should be, and it's great to watch. And it's also, I think, not even half done. I mean, there's so much more that we can do together, and it's been an evolving journey for both of us. But yeah, there's been a lot of great hits. I'm curious what you have top of mind.
Yes, I want to touch on those. So without getting into specific accounts and stuff like that, I have to think, aside from getting a dedicated partner manager who you could hold accountable to and could build a whole program plan and a dashboard for you and have a sort of a meeting and reporting cadence, both with the partner and with you, I'm sure that was a big help and a load off. But I think one of the big things that helped me was that we already had strong referrals going. We had a customer base already. You were already in market talking to many PE firms. They were introducing you to their portfolio companies because you were talking about intent-driven ABX and ABM and that type of thing. So I think a big milestone was that we had something we could bring to the table. 6 Sense sent us some good customers and stuff to work with as well, but being able to say, hey, I got someone to steer your way. I have someone that I think should be talking to you guys. You're not even on the table for what they're considering. I think that's always what good partnerships, they're looking for, at least the understanding there's bottom line impact we can bring to the table, right?
Yeah, it has to be. And I think this is something it's always worth keeping an eye on and good sharing data on. I mean, your biggest partner who you work with, you got to be their biggest partner, right? You got to refer them the most business. You got to work on the most deals together. They should be your biggest partner, referring you the most business. It should be your primary source of, channel inbounds. And I think like holding that scorecard up, and sometimes, you get distracted. There's natural gravity in a business that I think pulls away from partnership. Because all of your sales team is quota and KPI on what you do, not what your partner does. But you got to constantly be, fighting gravity on that and injecting activity. And like we will always look at, how much are we contributing to that partner? And if it's not number one, then we got work to do. And it's two-way street. And that is what great revenue impact can come from two partners working together.
100%. And I believe we were able to, looking back, have some of those tight relationships and made it easy to generate referrals back and forth because we invested time together. You, me, Ryan Hynek, the whole sales team and marketing team in being present at opportunities with Six Senses Field to help them out. I can remember at least a half dozen times where we made specific decks for certain field teams, whether it was commercial, enterprise, strategic, the CSM teams, the AE teams, and creating slides that specifically referenced things that we had heard and they had heard customers were struggling with, prospects were struggling with. We would take quotes right out of talking to Six Sense executives that they were hearing in 100 sales calls and stuff like that and saying, we get that, we help you overcome that. I think it's just, again, putting yourself in the other partner's shoes, saying, we understand how your business works and what's keeping you from making your number. Let's team up. We can help you make that number together, and I think that was huge.
And I think you're unified on, while both companies most likely make more money selling their own product versus referring another. Almost all the case, I'm sure that's true. What they both really want, in our case, we both want our end customer to be successful and for them to get value and for them to be a hero and for them to grow in their career and to, become an advocate. And we both want that. And so that, the messaging we have, the solutions we bring, the way we pitch clients are all based on kind of the same goal in the end. So it makes it easier to find common ground.
That took effort, and we had to constantly adjust a little bit of our notes and stuff like that as Six Sense, as a company evolves, as 2X evolved their own positioning. And so I had to do a lot of deck work over time to make sure we always stayed in sync. But that was fun to be sometimes the messaging and the positioning glue between that. So Dom, I want to touch on, as we were kind of closing out in our final minutes, like advice for whether you're a services leader saying, man, I wish I had the eye of a tech company like that. I wish I could spot and prioritize and nurture executives at other services companies out in the channel like that. Dom, you've always had a knack for noticing like a little opportunity where we can have competitive leverage, where somebody else was asked to invest, the other partners didn't invest and stuff like that. And you just managed to have that knack to go, I'm going to place a bet here. We've been leading sponsors of Club 6 at Forrester. You made some big bets that I would wish a CEO would be willing to make in the past, and it paid off. But like, I don't know, did you know that? Like, what made you go, I'm going to keep doubling down here?
There's a lot of things I do as a CEO that I know I'm taking a gamble on and I'm taking a risk and I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I want to see. This wasn't one of them. It was really passionate. This was the future of the industry, the future of the company. And it was going to result in something great for everyone. I don't know how I felt that. I just felt like this, but it was really, I go back to the product piece. I think that's where you got to get inspiration from, of understanding what problem your customer has, what problem you want to solve. And if there's someone that has a missing piece of that problem, like we want to help marketers deliver more impact for less money. The person who makes the company that makes the technology that is the best at delivering impact is connected to that vision. Like you got to find something that really completes the problem that you're trying to solve in the market. That's not competitive with you. And they don't have a you either. So there's a bit of you totally help each other. And then you just have to be like maniacal about like committing to success. I think that so many times in partnerships, there's like this like half committal. Well, I was like, I'll do one thing and see what happens, or I'll bring you something and then I'll wait until you bring me something. And we're like, or I'll try it for a year and then I'll go in another direction. Like, you can't do that. You got to like commit to it, earn the boats, and make it successful. Mm-hmm. And I think in this world, like I've taken that approach to it, and you got to be sure you're right. So it requires, and in my role, I have like the ability to see things from our customer's perspective in a unique way. I think in some cases you might have lots of customers to talk to or others, but do your homework and your research and then commit to it and then do it. And it's the same. I think partnership success, strategic alliances is the same as marketing. Like it's a series of sustained, continued activity over time that has a force multiplier. It's not like a transactional thing, and then you go back and I was always willing, I still am, that like we don't bring in a partner because we have some motive of profit involved. We bring them in because they're the right solution for the client. It's sort of this like, even if let's say one of our partners never really looked at us as a strategic partner and like, but they still have the right solution, we still recommend them. Like be
Yeah.
pure in your recommendation. There's no alternative incentive. And then like commit to make a relationship work that's good for both of you. And like be willing to put the right pieces around it and push the organization. It requires, I mean, I don't know how normal it is for a CEO to be driving that versus like a CRO or a go-to-market head. I guess that was one of the roles I played before we had a CRO. But I think it's important that an organization like really refuses to fail with the decision once you've made it and like make it successful.
Maybe we can touch on that because you made what I thought was a great move that was transformative for our whole go-to-market team, and that was to hire a CRO in Ryan Hynek. How about, did you vet him at all for his partnership experience and things like that? Did you explain to him some of the importance of that vision? I'm just wondering how you guys, when you think about the CEO to the sales leader to partnerships, was there certain key things you want to make sure were in place or understood with those
Yeah,
leaders?
of course. Yeah. I mean, I think the difference between a CRO and a sales leader is significant, I think. And I think a real CRO thinks about the revenue of the company, which includes direct revenue, indirect revenue, um, retention, um, customer success. It includes a lot of different pieces. And it was important to me that as we started to build out our leadership team and our sort of corporate architecture of how different individuals were going to contribute to this vision that I had. I wanted someone that would be able to up level, how we thought about revenue. And there's a lot of, great stuff going on around like, how to manage a recurring revenue business. And we are, I mean, even though we're a services company, we sort of look like a software company on paper and look at our growth rates and our retention rates and our margins and things like that. They're very software like. And so having that kind of support to be able to think about the holistic revenue challenge, not just sales, I think is an important element.
I appreciate you sharing that. I realized I threw you a little bit of a curveball there. It's just like as we talked, I realized I'm like, he's right. Like Ryan has been such an important booster for us. So in closing here, Dom, and I appreciate all of your time sharing that with me. I'm building here out in the open and I've always valued your advice. Do you have any sort of not parting really, but like just advice for me as I go out to try to help other organizations to learn these lessons and to follow in the footsteps with their partnerships, their partner programs? Any just advice for me about what you've seen that the market could use and things like that? Any last tips, sir?
Yeah, I'll give you one. In every meeting you have with someone, you have to leave them better than you found them.
That's it.
That's what creates relationships. That's what creates long-term value. Be valuable, be helpful in every meeting that you have.
Amen. And I've always felt that way with you, Dom. I always try to uphold that type of thing and bring the value to you. So thanks again so much for this time. And I'm looking forward to us crossing paths at Breakthrough and other partner related events in the future. It's just been such a pleasure to help build some world-class partner programs with you.